So those are the hours that I've researched, and then the director could talk about the hours that I believe were approved for the drive-through in the last meeting.
Okay. Is Rich Schlesinger on the line?
Philip Talama is on the line. I do not believe Rich is on the line.
Okay. Well, for some of these drive-throughs, we actually have a condition involving the grease interceptor, the grease and oil interceptor. I believe that it's required by Molten Nigel anyway, that they're not going to get any approval by Molten Nigel without a grease interceptor. So is it your opinion we don't need to include that as a condition?
Yes. So the applicant knows they have to do a grease interceptor. I did talk to them today. Ruben Gonzalez, he confirmed that they are doing I believe it's a 1,500 gallon tank grease interceptor in the project, and it is required, and he can confirm that for us.
Okay. Now, if I look at your recommended conditions for parcel 2, we're looking at parcel 2 tonight.
Correct.
If I look at conditions 15 and 19, and Mr. Chairman, the reason I'm going through these is that way the applicant will know something that I may be concerned about. On
Please
15
continue.
and 19, the applicant is supposed to furnish a recorded copy of the maintenance agreement outlining post-construction maintenance requirements. Does that include landscape maintenance? Or just maintenance of the grounds of the
Typically, it means
pavement?
everything. In my understanding, it's everything included, landscaping and general maintenance. But the director might want to comment on that, but that's how
Okay.
I understand it.
Well, before that, let's look at 19. The applicant shall submit new CCNRs for staff review that relate to outer seating, signage, and furnishings, and
Yes,
long-term
landscape.
maintenance, including irrigation, landscape, parking lot, etc. So the CCNRs have to address the landscape responsibilities. And when we approved this at the prior commission meeting for both parcels, they were required to provide an overall landscape maintenance agreement. But now we are requiring that they install a separate irrigation system
Yes.
under condition 18. And
Yes.
I'm wondering, should we require in writing that they provide a landscape maintenance plan and agreement, or is that included in conditions 15 and 19?
I believe we could add landscape. We could add landscape agreement within 15, as you
Okay.
suggest. I think that's a good idea.
Okay. Now, I think on the prior approvals, the owner has agreed that parcel 1 is going to provide the storm drainage for parcel 2. In other words, parcel 2, the storm drainage is going to be going over to parcel 1, and they're going to handle it.
That's my understanding. Yes, that's what we were shooting for, because they basically got approved for the site plan.
Okay, so if we look at, is there anything in here that ties that together, or do we just rely on the prior resolution to make sure that parcel 2 is agreeing on the storm drainage for parcel 1?
I think we're covered, but Elaine, what are your thoughts?
Yes, I think we're covered with what I'm going to sort of refer to as the master site plan that we approved in September. And the master construction manager, Burnham Ward, Steve Thorpe with Burnham is on the phone tonight, so we can certainly ask him too. But it's my interpretation that we're covered.
Well, under condition 12,
Yeah.
the storm drain agreement shall be submitted for review and executed by the property owners of parcels 1 and 2 and recorded, and provide for perpetual maintenance of any storm drain system.
Yeah, I believe that covers it, unless
So that covers
you see
it?
something it's not covered. Yeah.
And they have to, and they both have to execute it. Okay. My next
Correct.
question is, are they coming back for an additional monument sign, a monument sign that is in addition to the ones that we've approved?
Yes, we do have an application in to add a third monument. It's a different agent, and it's not part of this review, but it will be coming before the commission maybe next month.
Okay.
If I could
Hold on,
just
Elaine's
add
trying
on,
to talk.
yeah, if I could just add on to that, we had one meeting with a person. 3 monument signs seems a little unusual. We're still trying to understand their justification for that. But in that meeting, it was my understanding that that agent was acting primarily on behalf of the grocery store.
That
is correct. Yes.
Okay. Well, I'll save my reservations about the signage for later. But I just wanted to warn the applicant and the other commissioners that I feel that we should bifurcate this whole sign program from the building program, and consider tabling the sign program for another meeting, for the meeting in April, to tie that all together. But I know that they're under a tight schedule to get building, and so I don't want to, I personally don't want to postpone the whole thing, but I have still have concerns about the signage that I'll express later. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Breton. Mr. Martin, just one question for you. In our conversations, we've discussed doubling the signage for the drive-through, hence there are 2 drive-through lanes, correct?
Correct.
I was wondering if we have any precedence with that, thinking of the McDonald's on Alicia and Tribuco. I know they have a double drive-through. Do you have any recollection of how we went about the modifications for that building?
I do not remember the 2 monuments, but what happens sometimes is I was involved with the architecture of that building, and then they come back to us at a later date, and then they do the menu boards. But yes, I do believe at that McDonald's, and I believe at the other McDonald's, we have a similar 2 menu board drive-through where there's 2 lanes.
Great. All right, commissioners, any other questions?
Chairman Risch, I have just one question.
Commissioner Breton, or no, Commissioner Kino?
Molinari, close.
Oh, Molinari.
Close
My
there.
fault. You guys
That's
got
okay.
a waiver or something.
So in looking at the north elevation, Senior Planner Martin, I noticed you have the One Love sign across the top, but next to the entrance, there's a number 1. Is that considered signage, or what is that number 1 as part of?
Yeah, city staff thought that was more, is kind of hidden in a way. Some people didn't even know it was a number 1. So we kind of looked at that and said it's really part of the building. If the commission feels differently, that's your prerogative, and that's one of the reasons you're trying to help us out here. But we didn't think it was really a sign because it was kind of hidden into the architecture of the building.
Gotcha. And how would that be constructed, that number one?
The applicant can talk to us more about it, but it's kind of, I believe it's more of a plastic kind of material.
And this is Sean Hagan from Raising Cane's. I'm the director of design. It's actually a recycled metal panel.
Sorry, metal panel. And Sean, this is Tim. Yeah, the chair will give you a chance to speak. So just to hold off, and we'll have you. We appreciate you give us the answer now, but we'll give you a turn here in a little bit.
Heard that.
All right. With that said, then I'd like to.
Mr. Chairman, very briefly,
Oh,
one
go right
last-
ahead.
one
Mr. Keenan.
last inquiry. Under landscape requirements in the resolution, that's number 16, the applicant shall be requested to participate in the city's public art program to support the arts in Mission Viejo by either placing a piece of public art on the applicant's property within view of Crown Valley Parkway at a value of $10,000 or more, or a donation can be made to the city of Mission Viejo to support the arts programs in Mission Viejo. I think this was mentioned, but I just wanted to clarify the One Love heart sign. I think it's marked as sign C. We're accepting that as satisfying that public art condition, correct?
No, we aren't, and I'm very appreciative that you bring that up. And sorry I didn't clarify that. So no, the artwork needs to be close to the street, and the staff believes this does not meet the requirement because it's not near the public right of way. So we did have discussion on this at design review a week or two ago. And
So
the
is-
applicant knows that too.
Okay, so we don't have a sample yet or a proposal for something that would satisfy that condition?
Not at this time. Typically, they're so busy with trying to design the building and the signage that comes back to us 6 months from now or a year later. Whenever they're ready to build the building, then they show us the public art piece that's near the street or
I see.
public right away.
And then just for my own education and everyone else's education, I imagine this condition is placed in every resolution, that it's something that we require, correct?
Well, when there's a building to be built. So if someone's doing a minor modification to a building and it's not they're not spending a lot of money on doing it. It's not a big development in the city. No, we do not. But when it's a project of this magnitude, we require it.
Okay.
Well, we hope that they participate. Excuse me.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, once again, any other comments or questions by commissioners?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Chair
Once again.
recognizes Commissioner Breton.
I wanted to ask Tim, Senior Planner Martin, the sign that is called One Love.
Yes, sir.
Under our permanent sign ordinance, it says that signed copies shall be limited to the business name, logo, or generic description of the activity, such as barber shop or hardware. So how can this be in compliance with the sign program if it's merely a slogan? It's a slogan in the same vein that you would look at KFC, which has, if we were to allow Kentucky Fried Chicken to put an extra sign that says finger licking good, or Taco Bell to put a sign up that says think outside the bun, or I don't know, Burger King, have it your way. Isn't that a slogan, One Love? What does that have to do with our code, which allows only the business name and logo?
Well, yes, I understand what your concern is, and we can ask the applicant for more clarification, but I do understand what your thoughts are. And maybe the director has an opinion now that you say that. I think it's a good point. I think maybe we were so focused on all the signage that we didn't think about that. So I do confess that that's a good point.
Well, you're counting that extra 10 square feet as part of their overall square footage, aren't you?
Correct.
Okay. And I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, but I do have another question. If we could go back to the site plan that shows the drive-through.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, that's good.
Okay.
Okay, just for the benefit of the other commissioners who are not in the design review committee, if you'll look at the drive-through, as the cars exit the drive-through after they picked up their food, they make a right turn.
Yes, sir.
And then enter the parking lot, and then they're going to turn left to go out on Crown Valley. Well, when they make that right turn, they're going to be crossing an area that is the pedestrian crossing for all pedestrians that have parked their cars and are walking over to the entrance, which the entrance is over by where you see the G.
Yes.
And those pedestrians have to walk across in front of those cars. And our question at the design review committee meeting was, will there be a small stop sign there to direct the motorist that's driving out of the drive-through to stop there? And will there be pavers on the down on the pavement that signify this is a pedestrian crossing? And I think the applicant said that they agreed to that, but I don't see it in any of the, I don't know, I can't tell the detail of this drawing enough to figure out whether you have actually installed those, whether they're proposing to put in pavers and a stop sign or anything besides the words stop at that crossing.
Yeah. Well, as you know, the design review committee did ask that question to the applicant, and he was going to get back to us. And unfortunately, he's in the hospital right now. So Ruben, his partner, will be discussing that. I did call Philip Nitulama, our transportation manager, and he has no problem putting paving in there, that the applicant puts paving in there and the stop sign. And Philip is available for any questions you have tonight. But Ruben can talk to us if they can guarantee that they can put a stop sign there along with the paving. But our transportation manager has no problem with doing that.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Martin, is that Ruben Gonzalez?
Yes, sir.
Okay, excellent. All right. Any further comments or questions? All right, hearing none, we will open the public hearing. Members of the public wishing to comment are asked to dial in at 949-470-8464. You'll be placed in a queue and given 3 minutes to voice your concerns or thoughts. Administrative Assistant Hannes, do we have any written emails or do we have anyone on the line wishing to speak? Assistant Hannes? You're not muted.
Chairman Reish, I know that the applicant is available to speak.
We'll move to that in a moment.
Okay.
We don't have any callers.
Okay,
Chair
great.
Reish.
All right, with that said, then I would like to hear from the applicant. We know we have Sean Hagan and Ruben Gonzalez available. Normally we would allot 10 minutes for presentation and question answering. However, based on the amount of thoughts and questions that the commission has come up with, we certainly probably will have to allow you some latitude there. But Mr. Hagan or Mr. Gonzalez, whoever would like to take over, you have the floor.
And good evening, members of the commission. My name is Ruben Gonzalez. I am with PM Design Group Architects. We're the architects representing Raising Cane's. With us this evening is RV. He is our client representative. Actually, the person that I report to. Along with us is also Sean Hagan. He is the principal designer for Raising Cane's. And he will be speaking in behalf on anything related to the design of the project. I am my partner, Bob Supernova, as Tim mentioned earlier. Unfortunately, he is unable to attend due to medical conditions, so I'm doing my best to try to answer whatever questions are available. In the meantime, I would like to introduce RV, who may be able to say a few words regarding the project, following by also with Sean Hagan, who will describe more in details the architectural aspects of the building and how it ties into the grocery store. So with that in mind, RV.
Yeah, Ruben, thank you very much. That's one of the big benefits of having virtual meetings now. You can get the architect, you can get the designers, you can get the development managers, just about anybody you want to get on these calls instead of flying somebody out, away from home or whatever. But anyway, as Ruben said, my name's Robert Van, but everybody calls me RV and has forever and ever and ever. And yes, I am that old. I took a couple of notes as some of the commissioners were talking. And by the way, thank you all very much for your time tonight. We really appreciate it. Mr. Patton, one of the things, I know you're concerned about landscape. We will have an agreement in place with our landlord, Mr. Thorpe. But one of the things that Raising Cane's takes very, very seriously and to a high level is the landscape. We like for the stores to have great drive-up appeal, and we do take care of those landscapes. And so by that, I mean, they'll be maintained, they'll be mowed, the shrubs will be, trimmed, and they will have an irrigation system in place. And then the other day on our discussion, we did talk about the pedestrians accessing across the drive. That will be striped. We'll have, some type of a differentiating material there. And then Sean's on the phone. He's our design manager. One of the things that we've said we would do is we'll put in some type of a stop sign. I don't know if it'll be an official, red and white city stop sign, but we'll put something there. We're accustomed to putting paving or markings on the pavement, sometimes directional errors, again, stop signs or whatever, but we will work with you guys on that. We understand your concern about it, and we take it to heart that that's something that you have pretty good thoughts about. So we'll take care of that. Mr. Molinari, you asked about the number one. It's not a logo. It's kind of a mantra. It's, there's one love. The gentleman that started our company, Todd Graves, when he founded the company with Cane number one, we only sell one thing. We sell chicken tenders, and that's it. We don't sell wings. We don't sell legs. We don't sell sandwiches. We sell chicken tenders, and that's where the one comes from. That's one love. Now we do include French fries and coleslaw and toast, but that's it. There's nothing else that has to be made and sold in the restaurant. That's one of the ways or reasons that we can get people in and out and through the drive-through lane, because we're not back in the back trying to mix up a bunch of different things. So, and speaking of the drive-through, we talked about this in our DRC meeting the other day. The 2 lanes are, you can enter into those in both lanes, but if you look at the site plan, you'll see kind of an area, we call it the phasing area. If it's a non-peak hour or time, the cars in the outside lane will fade over into the inside lane. So it's not always 2 lanes of cars in there. So lunchtime and dinner time, those will be the peak hours where both lanes would be in effect. And then, as Mr. Baton said, as you leave the drive-through, you make a hard 90-degree turn, which that in itself will slow people down. And then they really don't have much further to go before they will need to stop and allow a pedestrian to walk by if need be. You know, we're super excited about being in the center. We've worked with staff on our architecture. I'll steal a little bit of Sean's thunder. You know, by making it was very clear that we needed to make our architecture and colors match and align with the store, and we have done that. We've actually utilized landlord's landscape architect on our landscape plan. So we're following, you know, the overall, what has already been entitled. We're following that, I feel like, to a very high degree. And we know about the artwork. We know about the potted plants. We know they've got to be a certain size and everything. So, and we're, you know, I don't think once we've ever kind of bucked the system. I think Tim would attest to that. So anyway, you know, we know it's a beautiful corner, like being there. And we're looking forward to getting the project started and underway. We're trying to keep one construction project on that corner going instead of having 2 separate ones. So we're doing everything we can to press through and get this approved and done. I'm more than happy to answer any other questions y'all might have. One question that always comes up and you haven't asked me yet is how many people will be employed there. Well, that'll be in the 50 to 75 person range, not all at once, obviously, but you know, it'll be there. You know, Canes, that's the hot topic right now. Canes pays higher than minimum wage, and so, you know, whatever ends up happening, you know, it'll be more than that. Gosh, what else? John, you're up, buddy. Sean's
right.
There he is.
Let me make sure this thing is muted properly. Sorry, folks. I'm had some technical difficulties with my microphone. Yeah, well, you know, RV, between RV and Ruben, those guys do a great job of pretty much describing everything. The only few things that I can think of adding to this are just the fact that, you know, Canes is really deeply involved in the community. And so what we do, we want to be so cognizant of making ourselves a part of that and making the area better than it was before, and something that everybody is really proud of, not only the employees and the manager who goes to local schools and you know, we donate just tremendous amounts of money to local community issues. But, you know, we're always beautifying the area, and we'd like to think that this building, which we try to get the design to work as well as possible within the confines of the local center, to really reflect that. As RV said, the landscaping plan, we utilize your landscape architect, and in general, Raising Cane's always goes above and beyond. We have one of the most expensive landscaping packages I've ever seen. I've worked for quite a few companies. And that really is a nice piece that kind of gets locked into the center by this very well done landscape that we upkeep. In addition to that, no one's brought this up yet, but you know, things such as how to deal with trash mitigation and things like that, because sometimes people have a tendency to throw stuff out. We always have staff that are out well before opening and long after closing, just to ensure that trash is picked up around the area for beautification of the neighborhood. Are there any other questions that you guys would like us to address?
Hey, Sean, this is
Sean, Sean, let me step in there real quick. One thing, a note that I just came across, and I apologize, I forgot to read it or talk about it. If on the One Love, if we could drop that down to the 18 inches instead of the 20 inches where we have it, which that, as I understand, would meet your code. Is that, I guess you don't have to tell me right now, but that's, we could do that and drop it down in size a little bit. So we're more than happy, and we're not really happy, but we're willing to do that just to keep the project moving along. So anyway, I missed that note, and I didn't want to pass it up. So.
Yep, that's a great point.
And this is Steve Thorpe. If you don't mind, if I can just touch on a couple of the other subjects that were brought up. We are the landlord on the property. As you may recall, we came before you in September and had the master site plan approved. To Commissioner Brenton's point, we do have a set of CC&Rs that we will control, and Raising Cane's will be a party to them. We want to control, as the landlord, the entire project in all aspects, whether it's irrigation, asphalt, stormwater. We're taking care of it all. Our name is on the line. And as you know from other projects in your city, we're here to stay. So that, rest assured that will be properly addressed in a set of CC&Rs, in which we're the declarant and will always be that way. Another matter that I just wanted to touch on real briefly, that I know people tend to look at signage as signage. We as developers right now, in a lot of respects, are introducing lifestyle graphics. We're introducing words, we're introducing materials, things like that that become interesting to the public and to our patrons. And I urge you, as you look at the slogan, and I understand the potential for it becoming signage, it creates interest and it creates life. And you'll see Raising Cane brings a youthful energy that the Crown Valley corridor really needs right now. It needs a shot of adrenaline. You guys have a lot of amazing assets on that street that will feed off of this ultimately. And the grocer, when they open for business, and I really hope that we can get this approved tonight. I hate to delay this at all, because we are trying to make this, as RV said, one construction project. We don't want any more disruption, no more dust. We want to get it done. Both tenants are really shooting to be open by the end of the year. The grocer is committed to it. And assuming we get the approvals today, hopefully RV could get his team on board and do the same. So as I was saying, coming back to signage, look at it as an opportunity to create interest other than just typical things that you see around a traditional retail center or grocery store.
All right, gentlemen, I thank you for your attention. Commissioners, do you have any questions for the applicants? All right.
I'm waiting.
May I say something?
Yes, please.
Yes. Hi, this is Ruben again. I think this was in response to Commissioner Brenton. You asked a question about the grease interceptor.
Yes.
And somebody did. But I do want to say that, yes, we do have a grease interceptor that goes outside of the building on site. And it's part of a requirement by the plumbing code. And it's shown on the construction documents when it's submitted to the city.
Okay. Mr. Chairman?
Chair recognizes Commissioner Breton.
Thank you. Just to everyone, to RB and all the others, I'm excited about this project. I thank you very much for agreeing to put in a stop sign and pavers and special striping there at the exit so that the pedestrians can safely walk across there. And I thank you for the trash mitigation. I want to tell you, I have investigated and I know that Raising Cane's has an excellent reputation in Orange County. It has a wonderful reputation for keeping a very tight ship and a clean looking product, a clean building and the surrounding, the landscaping, everything. And you're going to be a welcome addition to Mission Viejo. Just for your information, I was on the original planning commission back in 1989 and helped write the general plan and the sign program for the city. And I actually helped write the sign program for Kaleidoscope, which has lots of life signs like the ones that were just referred to. And so I don't like very much, but I have no problem, I guess, with that large sign with the dog, which looks like a large poster. But I just have to tell you that if we allow, I don't want to set precedents that are going to force us to allow every single, not just fast food place and restaurant, but every single establishment in Mission Viejo to come back to us and put their slogans on the wall. I understand that One Love is your slogan. I've gone on your website and it's definitely referred to as a slogan. And I know that your employees wear t-shirts that say that, One Love. And that's fine, but I don't want for CVS to come back and say, well, now we want to put for your own good on all our walls. Or for Target to come back and say, expect more, pay less, and put that on the wall. Or Ralph's to come back and say, now we'd like to put on our wall, fresh food, low prices. If we allow a slogan on yours, then every place in Mission Viejo is going to want to allow a slogan. And that's why I'm concerned about this particular sign. Let me ask you, who's in charge of this signage? Is it Mr. Casey or Mr. Thorpe?
Oh, for Raising Cane's?
Yes.
Oh, no, it at your offices?
No. I'm talking about which one of your design architects
This is Patience Casey, and I'm from AGI. We actually do the building and installation of the signs, if that's who you were asking for.
Okay. Which of these signs that you're proposing are going to be interior? Is the open sign inside?
The open sign and the one that's chicken fingers would be interior.
Okay. Do you know that we as a city on our architectural guidelines do not allow interior signs? Of course, your open sign will have to allow, but the chicken
fingers.
Sorry, I'm thinking of KFC. Is that that's an interior sign, but we don't allow interior signs.
Okay.
Are you asking for an exception, a waiver, a variance?
We would like to include it. We would like to ask for the variance.
Yeah, Commissioner Breton, this is Tim Martin. Yes, it is part of their package. There is a similar sign with the donut place in the Freeway Center that basically says warm donuts or something like that in the window. So they got a variance for that many years ago, probably 15 years ago or more.
Okay. And could you explain to me, RV or whoever, exactly what reductions you made since we last talked to you as a design review committee? What alternative reductions you made in the total signage?
So we, in our meeting so we've had 3 different square footages, and Tim helped me out here a little bit. When we initially came to Mission Viejo, Our signage package, I believe, was somewhere in the neighborhood of 254 square feet total.
Correct. This is Tim. Yes, you're right.
Yeah, and then so last week when we met, we were at 176, I believe. So since last week and now we're at the 147.63. We were allowed to, on the Raising Cane's sign, we were allowed to take the actual dimensions of it, not a rectangle. And so that's reduced that square footage. The One Love channel letters, we can, as I mentioned before, we can get that down a little bit more. We can get it down to the 18 inches. And that's probably, it's less than 2 square feet, I'm sure. The Red Dog, that's in there, that's 32 square feet. And incidentally, I mean, I'm just saying this so that all the commissioners can hear. Tim had talked about a sign previously where we now have the Red Dog. That sign, the one that we prefer, is it's a hand painted mural. It's not a prefab or pre-bought sign. We have an artist come out and they paint the sign, and they paint it such that it looks like it's 3-dimensional, like Raising Cane's is kind of blasting out through the wall. And it's normally, I mean, we understand that Mission Viejo doesn't want this, but there's a lot of places that do like it, where we paint the name of the city or town in the bottom left corner. And there's, you know how the millennials are now, it's a great place for them to do a photo op. You know, we were at the Mission Viejo one, we were at the Plano one, we were at Napa, whatever. So that's why we do that. But anyway, so that sign, that painted, I would say that's always a piece of art, because they're really a nice painted sign. But anyway, so we got rid of that sign in its entirety, and then we came back with it's called the One Love Heart. And if anybody cares to know what all of it stands for, I'll be more than happy to tell you, but maybe not in this conversation. So anyway, that was a change there for us. Those are the largest changes. We still have the open sign, and that's really, I don't even think that's a square foot. And then the chicken finger sign is a 1.5 square foot sign. So, I mean, those are the signs that are tallied up here. You know, we talked about this a little bit. I can't remember if it was 2 meetings ago, or I think it was our last meeting. And I think, Mr. Breton, it was you that asked me about the sign A, which is our Raising Cane's sign on the back of the building, if you will, that faces the Shops Boulevard. And if you go out there and take a look now, you can see that as you come around the corner, down the hill and around the corner of the Shops Boulevard, it's a pretty good grade there, rise, however you're going. And so I think at that time I told you that's the reason for that sign being there on the back of the building. Because there's palm trees, there's all the plantings over there are pretty mature and healthy. So it's going to get shaded, covered up pretty heavily. But so anyway, that's the reason for that sign there. But yeah, to go from, go ahead. Oh, well, so from, like I said, from last week, we were at 176 square feet and change. And so now we're at 147 and change. So that's a pretty good percentage drop.
And I appreciate that. And I agree with you. I drove from the mall, the shops at Mission Viejo. I drove out that road this weekend, and I could see that sign is barely going to be visible up there on your south elevation. So getting back to this One Love, what I call decorative piece, which is on this brushed aluminum, you would prefer just to once again, to have it painted on there? And what would it have if it were just painted? Would it just have the same image?
No. Patience, do you have, well, that'd probably be too hard to ship that over to us. It would be a totally different sign. It would be a painted sign, like I said, and it's painted in 3 dimensions, like in perspective, with the masonry wall, you know, kind of coming, exploding out, and Raising Cane's coming through it. That's our sign of choice. When we're not allowed to do that, the One Love heart is our sign of choice. And so, you know, the One Love heart is from our founder. It's, you know, talks about how hard he worked, you know, getting equipment for his first restaurant. So like I said, I can tell you what all of it means later. I doubt everybody wants to know, but you know, it's symbolic of his journey and how hard he's worked to have a good or very good restaurant. So anyway.
But what you're saying is that you would prefer not to have the One Love heart. You would prefer to have the painted sign that simply says Raising Cane's. It looks 3-dimensional.
Correct.
Correct.
That's what we started with. That's what we started with.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Breton. I think I echo your concerns, Commissioner Breton, about creating a precedent with painted logos, slogans, et cetera, on the sides of buildings and creating precedent. I was wondering if City Attorney Harper, you might have some advice for us or some thoughts about that.
I don't know that you're literally establishing a precedent because all of these special sign permits stand on their own. But if you have taken the position in the past that you're not going to allow that type of logo, like I won't go through all the examples of Mr. Brown. I'm impressed by the number of examples Mr. Patron apparently knows off the top of his head. If you're going to be opposed to that, it would seem to me that that's a rule that you should apply to this as well.
Okay. Director Lister, do you have any input?
I would echo what the Assistant City Attorney mentioned. You know, they are applying for a special sign permit, so everything's a little bit different. For example, the One Love, I understand that. For example, grocery stores, you know, they'll come in with Ralph's and produce, deli, coffee, that type of thing. So that the intent behind that was really to avoid these big, long laundry lists. I think the One Love is a little bit different. I can't think of something off the top of my head that's similar. But again, I think through this special sign permit, you know, that's why they're applying for it, because they've got a few things that are a little bit different, square footage and all. So I feel like you have the correct process in place if, you know, depending on what you want to do with that.
All right, thank you. Commissioners, do you have any further comments or questions for the applicant?
Yeah, I want to know more of, Chairman, if I may, sorry. I want to know more about the One Love heart that was suggested in lieu of the painted sign. Did that come up during design review committee? What was the reason that one was favored? What we have currently is favored over the painted sign? Because I understand the direction the latter was going towards, as far as conveying a lifestyle, providing what sounds essentially like an Instagrammable opportunity, right? So I'm wondering why. What were the discussions around that? Why is the one we're seeing now? Why was that preferred over what was originally preferred by the applicant?
It all revolves around square footage.
Do you want to maybe pull it up? You pull that up?
I don't have it readily available. It's
I can
Stephanie, do
try
you
to
have
bring it up.
those?
Bethany,
Let me pull it up on
it's-
my computer and I'll try to project it.
Yeah, but it had to do with square footage of signage because it, does say Raising Cane's on it.
So this is what they're requesting, Commissioner. And I think
This is
it
what we're
was-
proposing.
Mhm.
Right. This is what is being proposed as part of the package this evening. And I think it was staff's opinion that they preferred this. And that's where we got down to the discussion, is it art? Is it not art? And I think you could sort of argue the same with the cane. I think it's fair to say that, maybe the cane that says cane under it is part of their branding. And so that's been included in the sign square footage. And so, like everything else, art's in the eye of the beholder, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, etc. I personally do think this particular one is art. And again, it was the preferred choice over the other rendition that they had.
Commissioner?
If there's a possibility, I could show you my screen. I'm not sure if I can. I found a completion photo from another city with the heart with the background.
If I may interject for a moment, if you do indeed project that once again, I think at this time, perhaps it might be of value to us to explain the symbolisms. I mean, some are obvious, some perhaps are less. I think that would be good for the commission to understand as well the different symbols.
Sure, for the heart logo, or the heart sign. Yeah, so obviously at the very center is Kane the dog. When our founder started his company, he was noodling around with somebody. He was, knew he wanted to start a restaurant and couldn't figure out a name for it. And had just so happened at that time, he had his dog with him. Yeah, Bethany, I'm talking about the other sign, but anyway, and his dog's name was Kane. And I think he called the dog over and they said, that's what you ought to call it Kane. So that's where the center of the heart, the dog comes from. The hard hat and the salmon, back when our founder was trying to get started, earn money to, get things rolling, he worked in the oil fields, out on a well, and then he wasn't making enough money there, couldn't get it fast enough, so he went to Alaska and fished on a boat for salmon. And so that's what those two things symbolize. The ball on the right is a disco ball. Todd has an affinity for disco balls, and there was a disco ball in the very first restaurant that he did in Louisiana. And then of course in the bottom left there is the one. It's the one love, and that's the, we only do chicken fingers. That's our one love. So that's a real quick explanation of that sign.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Commissioners, any further comments or questions?
Chairman Reach, I have one question for staff and the applicant. If that sign that we're seeing on the screen now is painted, or that artwork, is that considered a sign if it's painted?
Well, this is Tim from staff. Basically, we agreed with the design review committee for this sign, the one that has the metal on it, that it was more artwork. If it was brick behind, like we did see early on with just this artwork on it, I think we'd feel the same. But when they first showed us the first artwork, it said Mission Viejo, and we thought that was kind of advertising. Yeah, and so see how it said Canes and chicken finger and one love, and we just thought this was too much. And that's when they came to us and showed us the heart. And that's when we said, we like that. It looks like art. And that's kind of where we're at now.
So this is not counted in the 147 square feet, correct?
Correct. So the design review committee and staff, along with the applicant, reviewed this at design review. and we determined that that we all thought this was more art.
Okay,
It
so,
doesn't have any text in it like the other sign that you just saw that said Raising Cane's 1 and all that stuff that it had on it.
And Commissioner Breton can chime in. Commissioner Breton, are you concerned with the lettered One Love? Is that what you're concerned with? The white lettered One Love on the building?
Correct. That's what he's concerned about, that he believes it's a slogan as opposed to their logo or their name.
Yeah. So, okay, I just want to understand, number one, to bifurcate this application for that, or if Commissioner Breton, and he can speak up for about this, or is he concerned about another sign coming in and do all the signs at once? I think it looks like this applicant's made a big effort to address our concerns, and I just want to make sure we consider that. Thank you.
Commissioners, any other?
Bethany, I sent you a photo of the sign.
Yes, Chairman Reich.
Please go ahead.
One last question for the applicants regarding the One Love channel letter sign, the white lettered sign. How intrinsic is it to the overall look of the building to have that, such that, you know, we have to have that as part of the scheme and can't drop it or you know, have it conveyed inside? You know, I'm not familiar with other Raising Cane's properties and whether the One Love sign is always out front like that. But so I'm wondering if we're entirely wedded to that, having that part there.
Applicants like to speak on that?
I'm sorry, this is Ruben again from PM Design. Can you please repeat your question again? Are you talking about the attachment, or how is this? I'm sorry.
I'm referring to the One Love channel letter sign. Basically, the point of my question is, and I don't know if this is something we could do, if we were to approve this without that sign, would that be okay with the, you know, the mission of Raising Cane's essentially?
Well, yes, if I may, if you look at the elevation right now, I think that the One Love sign really adds to the elevation, to the design of the building. To eliminate those letters, it will take away from the brand, the national brand of the building that we have in every single project. So I don't know. I don't know what we could put in there. It would be basically blanket. It would not look balanced as it is right now.
That's a very good point, Ruben. You know, the fact of the matter is that there are some places that we go and they simply just don't allow signage, and we have to live with it. But it's rather unfortunate when it's been designed with a really good balance and the massing of the building. I like to think of shopping centers as sort of amalgamations of masses and volumes, and things have been well conceived about how they come together. And there's nothing worse than driving by a shopping center that looks like just a series of boxes that really seem to, I don't know, that are out of balance. And to your point, Ruben, I think that you know, the signage on there really helps to provide that.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Commissioners, any other questions?
Yes.
Commissioner Breton.
If you could restate this, I think you said that at some of your other locations you have this, either the One Love artwork or just what you painted on the wall, and that's sort of like a Hard Rock Cafe photo opportunity. Is that what you called it?
That's correct. The common term these days is Instagrammable moment.
Okay. And so people would get out of their car and they go and have their picture right in front of that so that they could say they were at the one in Mission Viejo, correct?
That is correct.
And that one would be painted on the wall and it would simply say Raising Cane's, Chicken Fingers, Mission Viejo, correct?
Well, I want to make sure we're all talking about the same thing because
Yeah,
there's
yes,
that
yes.
there's that version. Correct.
And that's the
but,
one you wanted.
That's an option for us. That's typically our first stance when we do a signage package. We say, yeah, we want to do that because we're proud to be part of, Mission Viejo, and so we want to have that in there. And people go, oh yeah, yeah, that's our local Mission Viejo location.
Just like the Hard Rock.
That's the
Hard
one we
Rock
first.
Cafe.
That's the one
Hard
we
Rock
first
Cafe
submitted,
has
Sean.
Right.
We're associated with it.
Right, but oftentimes people say, "Oh, there's too much signage." Da 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 da, and we say, "Well, it is hand painted by this. We have a single artist who goes around the country doing this, and so we have this sort of fallback plan, which is to have the the red background with the city name still on it, but with this art graphic that's metal that's put on top of it, and that's something that we find communities have a tendency to latch onto more because things such as that then really are more of a one-off, and it is a very interesting thing to look at. And once one learns what the story is behind it, it actually makes it more endearing as well. But again, it still has that tie-in to that local city or community. Then the fallback from there is to remove any verbiage such as the city name.
Okay, so when you do your advertisements on TV, you use the slogan "One Love," right?
That's part of the advertisement campaign. It all depends, but yes.
Okay, like Burger King, have it your way, whatever. Or KFC, finger licking good. But on this heart with the dog and then the fish and the helmet, etc. We had to ask for an explanation as to what that meant and what that had to do at all with chicken. Are you saying that your customers, after they go to your establishment, they receive a little explanation as to what this means? Is that provided to them on the back of the receipt or in a little brochure? How do they even learn what that represents?
Do you go by Robert or Bob?
Robert.
Robert, fantastic question. So just so you know, I've been with Cane's. I guess this is going on my 4th year now. And before that, my kids love Cane's. My wife loves Cane's, but I was just kind of like, whatever. And I had asked the same question. I was like, what in the heck is that fish? Do they have fish there? I'm so confused. But I'm not really the youth of today. And the way that kids do things today is a little bit different. And it's almost like a scavenger hunt type attitude where they're always on their phone researching what something is. I can't hardly have a conversation with anyone these days without someone fact checking me while I'm having the conversation. And they end up knowing just as much about something that I'm talking about by the time I'm finished. So 2 aspects of that. On the inside of the restaurant, there is the full bio story on the interior wall, and it talks about it. And on every restaurant in the interior, there is an actual hard hat that's been signed by the crew and Todd. And there's a sockeye salmon that's mounted to the wall, and it begins to explain this story. So anyone who goes in the restaurant understands what that is by reading that. But most folks today, they just look up what this thing is by going to the website, and there's a Cane's app. There's all these types of things where they get the information faster than I could probably explain it to you.
Okay. And RV, I just want you to know I'm also from Texas, and I appreciate your plain talk, your plain spoken manner.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Commissioners, any further comments or questions of the applicant? Hearing none, I'd like to close the public hearing.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Do we have any public
Yes.
comment on this?
Before I close the public hearing, I stand corrected. Is there any member of the public that has called in or sent in a comment or a question?
No, I have no one at this time.
Thank you. In that case, then I will close the public hearing. At this time, I'd like to open this up for comments, including I have heard in our conversations the question or the concern about perhaps tabling the sign portion of this proposal. If so, I'd like to see if we could get a motion on that. Commissioners? Commissioner Breton.
Yes, let me make the motion. And my understanding is that the applicant is in a hurry. They have a very tight schedule and they want to get moving on the construction. If we were to bifurcate this, Director Lister, and just table this to the meeting in April regarding the signage to give us more time to think about it and to look at other establishments in Mission Viejo and come to a decision, would it hamper the applicant in proceeding with the grading and the obtaining of the permits to go ahead and start building?
Well, I don't think it would hamper them in terms of their construction, that process itself. However, I would say this is probably a big investment for the applicant to move forward without that security of them knowing, indeed what, if any, signage they have approval for. So before there's any kind of action on something like that, I think you definitely want to talk to the applicant. It could be perhaps they'd want a decision either way, then at least they'd be in a position, to appeal it if they didn't like it. So I think you definitely want to have the applicant weigh in.
Okay, well then, Mr. Chairman, I'll withdraw that and not move to table.
Understood. All right, then at this point in our meeting, I would like to see if we can entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Is there any opposition?
I'm still concerned about that slogan, the One Love slogan, and so I will be voting against this motion. I'm very appreciative that they were willing to work with staff and then with us on reducing the square footage of everything. And I can live with staff's recommendation for Commissioner Quino's information. When it came to the design review, this painted sign was not presented to us. What was presented to us was the heart with the salmon or trout. That was presented to us, and then we were asked to consider this as an art piece. And we made it clear that it would not count as their contribution towards art in public places, but this is what we were given. And I can live with this now, having heard the explanation as to how the Generation X or the millennials or whatever get on the cell phone and immediately find out the derivation of all these symbols. I can live with that, but I cannot live with a slogan, because if I'm telling you, it's setting a precedent, and we're going to have Wendy's coming in and telling us now we want to put our slogan, when it's real, or Taco Bell, think outside the bun. It's going to just encourage others to come in with slogans that are not really identification signs. Staples would come in with, that was easy. Target would come in with expect more and pay less. It would lead to a proliferation of signage, of signs and slogans. And I can't I don't agree that this is needed to balance the signs on the building. You know, when Mission Viejo Company was first developing Mission Viejo, Kentucky Fried Chicken came and wanted to put in a KFC right there at the entrance to Mission Viejo on Crescenta and La Paz. And Mission Viejo said, we'd love to have you, but no bucket, no chicken bucket, which was their logo, to put a bucket of chicken up above the restaurant. And Mission Viejo said, no, we're not going to allow that in Mission Viejo. And they said, okay. McDonald's came and wanted to put in the giant golden arches. Mission Viejo Company said, we know that's your logo. We're not going to allow it. And when you go to McDonald's today, it's just a tasteful, small sign, very small sign that says McDonald's with no, you know, no logo attached, talking to the public about what McDonald's offers, or you know, their latest logo, which they change every 5 years. So I'm going to be voting no.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Breton. Based on the conversations we've had, I think I'd like to ask for a voice vote. So I'll be calling you individually. Please give your yay or nay. Commissioner Breton.
Nay.
Commissioner Molinari.
Yay, yes.
Commissioner Keno.
Yay.
Commissioner Vice Chairman Blum.
Yes.
And the Chairman Reish says yes. Congratulations, gentlemen. This passes 4-1. We look forward to seeing Canes moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you all so much. We really appreciate your time and look forward to being there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Excellent. All right. So with that said, let's continue our meeting. Moving on to item number 4, architectural review, AR 2021-113, a petition submitted by homeowner Daniel R. Mckelvey to permit a 243 square foot addition to an existing structure. Director Lister, would you like to give us a report?
Mr. Chairman, our planner, Nick Lagura, will give us a staff report. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. Thank you for your time this evening. Nick Lagura, again, project planner for architectural review AR 2021-113. Bear with me just for a minute while I queue up this presentation for you. Okay, so the Mckelvey residence for architectural review AR 2021-113 request to permit a 243 square foot second story addition to an existing 3,333 square foot 2-story single family residence located at 24672 Via Alvarado in the RPD 3.5 zoning district. As you can see, that the site is in the middle of a residential neighborhood. Surrounding uses are also single-family detached homes. The Mackenzie residence addition proposes a 155 square foot walk-in closet and 2 44 square foot dormer windows. Additionally, that proposal includes a 450 square foot roof, which really is a replacement roof to accommodate the exterior alterations. The next slide is of the architectural elevations being proposed. The new walk-in closet will extend 8 feet from the existing exterior wall resulting in a 5-foot setback to the side property line. And the dormer windows will not change the existing rear yard setback of 44 feet to the rear property line. As a second floor addition will entirely be within the existing building footprint. Furthermore, that the proposed addition will match the existing roof height of 24 feet. Additionally, the exterior colors and exterior materials, including roofing materials, will match that of the existing dwelling. So the architectural and design review request is being requested or required as for controversial projects or including neighborhood or neighbor objections. In this case, the applicant or the petitioner has received a written objection from next door neighbors, Roger and Evelyn Jones. The Joneses are concerned of impacts to natural lighting, privacy, noise, dust, and parking issues during construction. Staff believes that potential issues can be addressed in regards to construction during, in terms of the city's construction standards and whatnot. So those concerns are certainly able to be addressed. The issue of natural lighting and privacy, in regards to those, staff has reviewed the city's development standards against what is being proposed and believe that the project will not significantly impact the natural light and privacy of the adjoining property. Additionally, the petitioner, Daniel Mckenzie, has reasons why he believes that his project will actually provide or enhance privacy for the neighbors. At this time, staff recommends that the commission considers the draft resolution approving architectural review AR 2021-113 based on information presented to you tonight, and including the staff report and tonight's discussion. This concludes staff's recommendation or presentation, and would be happy to answer any questions of the commission at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Associate Planner Legura. Before we move ahead, I do have one question for you. Is the applicant's name Mckelvey or McKenzie? There was a question there. It looks like it's Mckelvey. Can you clarify that for us?
Yes, you are correct. Chairman Reese, the applicant's name is Daniel Mckelvey.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, are there any questions of staff?
Yes, Chairman Reese, if I could chime in. Thank you. For staff, it meets zoning code setback requirements. You've reviewed the addition as far as their their addition to your adjacent properties. What I heard is that there was no concerns by staff from a privacy standpoint, and it meets all the zoning codes. And I agree, it can be mitigated during construction, the concerns of the neighbor. Is the applicant here? So when we're done, we could hear from them?
I have the applicant on the line, on the phone.
Okay, great. So what I heard is the boxes have been checked, and it meets zoning code and setback requirements and development code. That's what I heard. Is that correct?
That is correct. Again, we have reviewed the project against the city's developing code in terms of meeting setback, overall height, overall lot coverage standards. So yes, you are correct. We have checked all the boxes in that regard.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Breton.
I'd like to ask couple of questions of the Assistant City Attorney.
Please proceed.
Okay, hi, Mr. Harper. I'd like to know, does the city, either in its general plan or architectural guidelines or any ordinance, grant to the private residents view easement or light easements?
No, they're not addressed in the code, nor is there any California law which would support that.
So if there's a dispute between neighbors as to deprivation of a view easement or light easement that could or could not be contained in the recorded deed to their property, that would be a civil dispute that would be arbitrated in the courts between the two parties?
Yeah, essentially would be a private nuisance.
Okay. And lastly, I would like to ask you or Director Lister, in the letter written by Roger and Evelyn Jones in objecting to this project, they mentioned that there is a building code rule called the 45-degree rule that would apply in this instance. Mr. Harper, do you know of a 45-degree rule?
Under as you're aware, cities are governed by the California Building Standards Act, and at least to the best of my knowledge, there's no 45-degree rule, or I mean, I'm not even sure exactly what that refers to, even though it says I recognize in the letter that it's a potential building code requirement. Neither Mission Viejo nor the state statute contain that.
Thank you. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioners, any other questions?
Mr. Chairman, I've got a question.
Please proceed.
With respect to the neighbors' concern about noise, dust, and parking issues during construction, is there a set time that construction is expected to take place? In other words, is there a sort of reasonable time frame built into or assumed in the resolution? Or was there one from the applicants that they preferred as far as when construction would take place?
I can jump in, Commissioner. Yes, the city has hours of exterior construction. It's 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday. And I think it's, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday. And I believe 8 to 6 on Saturday, with nothing on Sunday or federal holidays. But the applicant in this case, or his contractor, his or her contractor, would be held to those hours.
Thank you.
Commissioners, any other questions? In that case, I'd like to add to the previous question. Associate Planner Legura, what would a neighbor or a neighbor have, what's the process for recourse should they have an issue with noise, dust, the nuisance of construction if it becomes too much? What is their recourse?
The neighbor can certainly contact the building department, speak with either the building inspector or myself, the project planner, on this particular architectural review. And we can certainly have the building inspector inform the contractors of these concerns. So as I said, standards are set in place to address construction concerns during construction.
Thank you. Any other questions for staff from commissioners? Hearing none, I want to go ahead and open up the public hearing. Once again, members of the public wishing to comment are requested to dial in 949-470-8464. You'll be placed in a queue and given 3 minutes to voice your concerns. Do we have any correspondence or callers wishing to speak on this now?
Yes, I think I have the applicant on the line. One moment. It's not, is there not?
If we have the applicant, I want to, let's table the applicant. The applicant right now, I want to bring in afterwards. So right now I'm looking for other members of the public.
Oh, I think.
Get his time momentarily.
I think the applicant needs to go first, the way he's in the queue. I think he should go first because he's in the queue. I have to.
Chairman, we typically do take the applicant first of all, and then we'll.
Okay, I'm ready. I'll be ready.
In that case, then let's proceed.
Okay. Yes, hello. This is Angela, and please state your name and address and begin.
My name is Daniel Mckelvey. And, you know, I hear background from that. Am I on with the committee?
Yes.
Okay. I do have a PowerPoint, but the controls won't let me bring it up. Nick said he could do so. I'd like to request that he do so.
Nick, are you able to pull it up? Because I can if you can't.
Yes.
Please state your name and address and begin.
I'll pull it up in just a minute, Larry.
Tell him to turn down his TV or computer.
Yes, excuse me, Daniel, can you please turn down your speaker a little bit?
Is that good?
Is that better?
Yeah, I heard the feedback.
Yes, I think that's good.
Okay.
Okay. Can everyone see Mr. McKelvey's presentation?
Yes.
Mr. McKelvey, your presentation is online.
Your presentation is online, Mr. McKelvey.
Please proceed.
Pardon me?
Please
I don't
proceed.
see it on the screen.
There's a little bit of a delay, but you will see it.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, gentlemen, my name is Dan McKelvey. Been a resident of the city of Mission Viejo for 40 years. Bought this house in 1981. I'm proposing a modest improvement to my house at this time. This is the third and last improvement I planned about 25 years ago. We're proposing to add a couple hundred square feet walk-in closet to one of the bedrooms, plus replace the lower roof, which is aged, and add some dormers in the back. We think we meet all the codes requirements, regulations, and the like, and we agree with staff that this should be approved. I would like to walk through the issues with you. Frankly, I don't see the PowerPoint, but the second page of the PowerPoint is titled City Objectives and Proposed Work. The first thing I did when I got notice of the objection was take a look at what the city and your commission is charged with doing. And there are the four things: the natural amenities, the neighborhood character, privacy, and view, which I'm sure you're familiar with. And, you know, my view is that we're complying with everything there. I'm going to expand on the privacy issue as we move along here. Next, there were 5 objections that were voiced in the letter of objection. Parking in front of the neighbor's house. And while this is a public street, I will commit to not allowing the workmen who I might hire. I expect to self-perform much of this. I will not allow them to park in front of the Joneses' house. With regard to noise and pollution, we'll observe all the work rules set by the state and local authorities, whatever is codified. I happen to have worked in the construction, design and construction industry for the last 50 years, and I know how to do that. There are no excavations, so I don't see us kicking up any dust at all. What we're going to do is hammer and saw framing and stucco and roofing. So that addresses that issue. On the privacy, I'll get to privacy in a little bit. I'm going to show you some photographs. I believe that what we are proposing to do here will enhance the privacy in the Jones's backyard. Next item was significant loss of light, and I've taken some pictures of existing conditions in the morning, at noon, and at night, which I think will enlighten you with respect to loss of light. 45-degree rule, I have done some study, one on YouTube. I'm a professional engineer. I have architects that work for me, and I've talked with them about the 45-degree rule. None of the American architects had ever heard of it. One civil engineer who was from Britain knew about it, but not sure how it applies. I'm not sure what you're looking at, but the next slide shows you the front of my house with the cars in front of it. It's a Madrid 420. To the left, which is north, is the Joneses' home. And then just over the gate to my side yard, you can see the roof and the section of the house that is currently one story that I want to build over.
Mr. Chairman.
The next slide.
Point of order.
Is titled Privacy Enhancements for
Mr.
the Joneses.
Mckelvey, if you could.
And I'm showing you 3 pictures here. The photograph on the extreme left is the bathroom that's on the west of the house. There's 2 bathroom windows on the north side of my house facing the Joneses' house. The one that's westmost, the photograph shows the view of the Joneses' backyard and their pool. And when we do this construction, that window will be completely blocked from any view of the backyard of the Joneses. The photograph in the middle also shows the pool. That's from the easternmost bathroom window, and that window goes away entirely. So in those 2 cases, we're enhancing their privacy. The view from the third picture is the review from my rear window. And I'm planning to add a dormer and move that window east 6 feet. And when I do so, the view of the Joneses' backyard is diminished by that much. The next slide is titled Privacy Enhancements. And I show you a view on the left.
Excuse me, Mr. McVeigh, could you tell me what slide number you're on, please?
I don't have numbers. Hold on, let me count them real quick. 1, 2, 6.
Number 6. Okay, thank you. Please continue.
Okay. You could go to the next two slides back. That's 4. Okay. These are the views that I talked about that are going away. The left and the middle one. Okay, this is the one. We're in sync now. Thank you. Okay, in the left-hand photograph is a view from the deck. I have a deck on the south side of my my house that overlooks here. You're overlooking the existing lower roof toward the Joneses' house. And when I extend the roof at the far end and the dormers out into here, even from this deck, the view of the Joneses' backyard is further diminished. In the new addition on the north side, we were planning to put in a small window. It shows on the drawings is a hexagon. It's 18 inches in diameter. It'll be obscure glass. One potential complaint is looking into their bathroom window, and I'll commit to moving that window east or west so that it does not look over the Joneses' bathroom window, which is a small window. I'm going to put it high in the ceiling. This window is in that closet simply for daylighting. That's its sole and only purpose. Okay. And then the picture on the right, that's the view from the existing deck. That deck's been in place for over 20 years. If we could take the next slide.
Okay, continue.
Okay, I didn't see the change, but okay. There's 2 pictures on these on this particular slide. The left-hand picture was taken at 8 a.m. I'm on the east side of my house, and this photograph shows you the light from the morning sun between the two houses, its current condition. To show the photograph to the right is taken directly across the street and maybe a half an hour earlier. We have the similar condition to what I'm proposing here. On the left, we have a two-story building. Unfortunately, on the right, to the north, it's a single-story building. But what you're looking for is where is the light? And I would like to point out to you, if you look at the top of the wall all the way back, that wall is not even in shade at 7:30 in the morning. There's a heck of a lot of sunlight that goes directly in between there. Okay, so that's the condition in the morning. We move to the next slide.
On the next slide. Oh, do you want the next slide? Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay. Okay, we have the slide up.
Okay. Also two photographs. On the left, this is the similar condition. It's the same house as I showed you just a moment ago. And this is at noon. And as you can see, the shadow from the two-story building to the south does reflect across the south face of the second story, of this one-story building. But as you can see, there's still a lot of light, and it's not necessarily in darkness. So that's the condition at noon that we would expect from this. The picture above was taken at 5 p.m. What you see on the left is the side of the Joneses' house, bathed in sunlight. And the construction that I'm proposing has absolutely no impact upon this sunlight. Late afternoon, it's coming in from the west, and it bathes this area. I'd also like to note that currently winter, so the sun is south of where it will be later in the spring, in the summer, and even in the fall. So this could be even considered virtually a worst case condition. And so, I realize we have a complaint about the loss of sunlight. I don't think that there's any legal entitlement to sunlight. However, what we're doing here, as I've demonstrated, I don't think is an unreasonable intrusion upon the neighbors. Moving to the next slide.
Okay, we have the next slide up.
Okay, this, I didn't know anything about any 45-degree rule. I've been in the design of buildings and structures for my entire career. It turns out it's a foreign code. I'm not even sure it's a code adapted, but I did think that it would be instructive to take a look at how it would apply to this particular case. And so that's what the next couple of slides are about. If you could go to the next slide.
The next slide is up.
Okay. The one that shows the triangle?
Yes.
Okay. This here, just in case anybody has forgotten their high school geometry, I just wanted the 45-degree rule has to do with a 45-degree triangle, and the base equals the height in a 45-degree triangle. I want to refresh you on that, because when we look at the other illustrations, it helps you understand them. So on the next slide, I've applied the 45-degree rule to the existing condition, and actually in the back of the house, it applies also to the condition that I am proposing to create. The left-hand diagram shows you in plan view the 45-degree angle applied. It goes from the center line of the nearest window 45 degrees away from the Joneses' house. So what you see on this illustration, there's a Jones's house at top and to the right, and my house extending back behind them to the left. So you do the 45-degree angle, that is the red line, and it misses my house. It means that there is no conflict with the 45-degree rule with respect to that. The 45-degree rule generally applies to extensions of buildings in England. The middle diagram shows you the 45-degree rule applied to the same window from the sill of the window, the lower sill, projecting the 45-degree angle up. We also do not have a conflict with the 45-degree rule with respect to this. It's tighter than the one in plan view, but it still is in compliance. Purely by accident, gentlemen, purely by accident, not by plan. If you go to the next slide, it's a little unclear to me how the 45-degree rule would apply between the houses. But I think the illustration that I show here is representative. And my major point that I want to make is that, as staff stated, the 45-degree rule was not part of planning or any code applied when Mission Viejo was developed. If it was, any two-story house would have to be approximately 20 feet from its neighbor. The 25-foot house would have to be 25 feet away. That's simply juxtapositioning a 45-degree angle from the sill of his window facing my house. Okay. So the next slide.
Next slide.
What I show you here are 3 examples of homes in Mission Viejo on my street, a couple of them around the corner, both of them with the 5-foot setback, so 10 feet apart. All 3 of these with windows on one or the other of the neighbor's sidewall. None of them in compliance with what I understand the application of the 45-degree rule would mandate. Once again, just referring back to your staff report, I think if you adopted this rule now in retrospect to Mission Viejo, you'd be buying trouble. But at the same time, I don't think that a foreign code that was not used as part of planning Mission Viejo should be applied to the project here that I'm proposing. So that's the end of the materials that I wanted to present. I want to thank you, gentlemen, for hearing me out. I do think that we're in compliance with all regulations and codes, and I would appreciate it if you would approve my project.
Thank you. Administrative Assistant Hannes, is there a way that we can keep him on the line? Should we have any other callers? Obviously, we may have questions.
Let me check with IT. Hold on, please. Mr. Mckelvey, can I have you hang up and, well, let me first see if there's another call. I don't have any other calls, so hold on for 1 second.
I can go on mute.
Laurie, would this gentleman be able to call in the Zoom call as the applicant?
I was going to say, I don't have any other calls on hold except for the applicant.
All right, well then let's just, if he could just hold online, and then we have one document to read, correct?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, he's on hold and I don't have any other calls.
Okay, I think for the record, we should read the response that we received from the Joneses.
Nick, do you have that letter?
Yes, I do. So the letter The objection letter received by the Joneses dated February 22nd, 2021 reads as, we received your letter regarding 24681 Via Alvarado. We, Ron and Marilyn Johnson, do not approve the room addition and pool to the mentioned property. We own the adjacent property at 24671 Via Alvarado. We share a my apologies. This is a different response letter. Bear with me.
Thank you.
Nick, I have it. Do you want me
Okay.
to? Is that easier or do you have?
Thank you. If you can, Elaine, that would be great. It would save some time.
Sure, certainly. Dear sir, with respect to your letter regarding the proposed extension to the property at 24672 Via Alvarado, we would like to object to the project on the following grounds. We believe that the addition will cause a significant loss of light in the rear and side of our property. Also, the dormer window in the back could incur a privacy issue for us depending on where it is placed while we enjoy our backyard. Extending the upper floor at the side of the house approximately 8 to 10 feet closer to our shared boundary line will move a window on that property closer to our master bedroom bathroom window. Further, the noise and air pollution during the construction will impact us considerably as both the side and rear extensions will be close to the boundary line between the two properties. Construction vehicles may cause a problem with parking and restricted view for us exiting our property, causing a safety issue. We believe that there is a building code rule called the 45-degree rule that would apply in this instance, as both the side and rear extensions would not adhere to this from either the window at the side of our home, i.e. changing the angle to an estimated 65 degrees from the horizontal, 25 degrees from the vertical, or the nearest rear window to their property. Photos illustrating these points can be submitted if required. Thank you for your attention. Yours faithfully, Roger and Evelyn Jones, 24662 Via Alvarado. That's it.
Thank you, Director Lister. Do we have any questions for the applicant from commissioners?
I had one. I would like to ask Mr. Mckelvey if he would be willing to start construction at 8 a.m. rather than 7 a.m.
Can we bring the applicant on?
I'm following up on Commissioner Quino's questions regarding construction noise and construction traffic.
Yes, I'm sorry.
I've got it.
Yes, would you be willing to start your construction at 8 a.m. instead of 7 a.m.?
Did the commission hear the response?
No.
He said certainly.
Okay. And Mr. Chairman, or Mr. Legura, was there another letter from another concerned residence?
Mr. Glary, you're muted.
We can't hear you.
Nick, you're on mute.
My apologies. Commissioner Breton, there was not a second letter or another letter in regards to this application. That was my mistake. My apologies for that.
Okay, thank you. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Any other commissioners wish to ask questions of the applicant?
Mr. Chairman, not a question for the applicant, but for city staff, just to confirm, were the objecting residents, the Joneses, were they given notice of this hearing and the opportunity to be heard on this matter?
Commissioner Quino, yes, the Joneses were made aware of this meeting. A notice was sent to the the Joneses residence. Additionally, I followed up with a phone call and had left a message with the Joneses to ensure that they were made aware of tonight's meeting.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other commissioners?
Yeah, yes, Chairman Reach, I have one. Were the other neighbors, Mr. Legura, did they have to sign off on this addition? Did he have to get all his neighbors to sign off on it? And did we receive that?
Commissioner Blum, the applicant was successful in obtaining signatures from the majority of his neighbors. Again, it only takes one objection to raise a plan check review to an architectural review. So again, yes, the applicant had obtained signatures from the majority of his neighbors.
Great, thank you.
Commissioners, any other questions? Assistant Hannes, do we have anyone on the phone now wishing to add comments to this hearing?
No, I have no other callers.
Okay. Then at this time, I'm going to close the public hearing and open this up to the commissioners for comments. Do any of the commissioners wish to comment on this? Okay, well, I will shortly before we look to move forward. There seems to be 5 points that were in contention here. As far as the window looking into the Joneses bathroom, the applicant has spoken to the effect that he would be willing to move the window, so that isn't a problem. There were concerns about parking. The applicant has said that he would make sure that the contractors, the workers would not be parking in front of their property. The dormer windows, I feel, are not going to become an issue as far as being able to create a viewing into the property of the neighbor. I think we found that there is no 45-degree rule within the City of Mission Viejo laws. And I feel pretty comfortable looking at the light issues and knowing that, yes, this is winter and summer, the light will be somewhat different, that issue is negligible. So I think I wanted just to make sure that my comments were known. I'd like to ask at this point, can I entertain a motion to approve?
I move approval of the resolution with the addition of a condition that construction not commence before 8 a.m.
Do I have a second with that condition?
I second that.
All right. Do I have any opposition? Hearing no opposition, this motion passes unanimously with the condition of construction starting at 8 o'clock. Congratulations to the applicant. We look forward to you enjoying your home and the new amenities. All right, so let's move on. Do we have any committee reports? First from traffic. Would one of the commissioners like to weigh in on any issues that they have been discussing?
Yes, we do have a brief summary of the traffic committee that met on March 5. Commissioner Molinari and I met on March 5 with staff on the traffic committee. It was our inaugural committee meeting. And in that meeting, we had reviewed several items, among them parking restrictions in Morro Azul. We determined not to have parking restrictions there. Installation of yield signs on left turn lanes at Marguerite and Trabuco. Intersection sign or an intersection warning sign to be installed at Montenoso Drive at Creste Verde Drive. And then a yield sign to be installed on Aegea Street and Pacifica. The committee did reach an impasse on an issue regarding additional stop signs at La Alameda and Puerto Real. So commissioners, stay tuned for that to come before the full commission, I believe, at the next commission meeting. And I think our next traffic committee meeting is scheduled for April the 2nd.
Commissioners, thank you for your dedication. Do we have a commissioner from the DRC that would like to weigh in on meetings that they've had? Commissioner Blum.
Well, we went through we had a meeting regarding the Gateway Plaza that we went over extensively tonight, Commissioner Breton and I. And otherwise, that's it, right, Commissioner Breton? That was it?
No, we had one other meeting in which we discussed minor modifications to the 4 restaurants at the corner of Charlinda and Alicia.
That's right. Go ahead. You can finish.
That was a separate meeting. There are going to be at least 3, if not 4 restaurants at the corner of Alicia Parkway and Charlinda, right on the same pad where the Target is at the freeway. And we had approved that about a year ago, and they came back with some minor modifications regarding the pathways, the trellis, some of the window treatments and awnings, and the cornice, and nothing major. And we looked at all of those and had no significant concerns, and so we thought it would be better just to let it to receive administrative approval.
Commissioner Breton, if I may ask, if I recall correctly, originally that plan was set up for 5 to 6 restaurants. Did the footprint change, or are they just looking to rearrange the square footage that they have?
The footprint did not change at all. The footprint did not change. And they just don't know in today's market whether there are going to be several small restaurants, cafes there, or maybe one that will occupy 2 of the anticipated spaces. They just don't know.
Understood. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Staff, do we have any comments?
I would just I sent you an email on Friday, but just to point out, we're having the Oso Creek Golf Course Visioning Plan this coming Thursday at 6 p.m. There's a special registration to join that. And you are just joining, as interested people, not in your official commission capacity. And then also, we're having a joint City Council and Planning and Transportation Commission on March 31st. Also at 6 p.m. And that's for basically Housing Element 101. So get your calendar marked up. We're keeping you busy.
Is that a virtual meeting, Elaine?
Yes, they're both virtual.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, thank you very much. Now I'd like to move into our next portion of this meeting, and it is commissioner comments. I have asked of you to give some thought to some ideas, and with that, I'd like to start with Commissioner Breton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, I want to salute you and thank you for expanding the scope of our role and responsibility on this commission. I firmly believe if you look at the charge that we receive from the City Council, it is not only to provide advice to the council with regard to pending projects, but also to propose to the council changes in the either in the different elements that pertain to planning and transportation of the general plan, changes in our guidelines, changes in our future visioning. And I think that I'm going to mention several things, and I don't expect any reaction at all because under the Brown Act, we can't discuss this.
Correct.
But I would hope that it would at least get your minds thinking about these particular items. And I'm anxious to hear what you have to say about your vision for the future of Mission Viejo. And we could decide to put something, I think it would be within the Brown Act for us to decide to, and ask through the chairman to place one of these items or or more of these items on a future agenda for us to discuss in the public. Okay, these are my ideas and things that I've been thinking about. One is parkways in Mission Viejo. A parkway is something that was originated in England and in France. And a parkway is more than a street or an avenue. It's called a parkway because it has a median with vegetation, with landscaping, and there's landscaping on both sides. And in Mission Viejo, we have certain parkways that have added to the beauty of our community. And principally, those are Marguerite and Crown Valley and Oso Parkway and Alicia Parkway. Those are beautified by having medians that have landscaping and that have the light, the street lights with the Mission Bell signature. When I was on the council back in 1991, it was on Geronimo, all there was in the middle of the road in Geronimo was painted medians on the pavement. So as you drove down Geronimo, it was extremely dark. It was like driving into a tunnel. And there were no islands in between. And the council decided that we wanted that to be established as a parkway with a median and with vegetation. And then I asked the city manager, could we add the Mission Bell streetlights? So when you go down Geronimo now, it's well lit and it has the landscaping and it's got the Mission Bell streetlights. I would like to propose that we do the same for Avery Parkway. Avery is the original off-ramp access to the planned community of Mission Viejo. It even preceded the La Paz Bridge and off-ramp. The original way to get into Mission Viejo was off the Avery off-ramp. And for many years, that Avery Parkway led to nothing more than the gravel operation, the sand and gravel operation down where the golf course is now. That was a huge gravel operation. And there are Coronado homes on both sides of Avery. But I believe that it should be now, because it is a beautiful entry into our city and to the golf course, to the Arroyo Trabuco golf course, that it should be made into a parkway and designated as a parkway. With street belt the street lights with the Mission Bell and with a center median. I believe, and I've made a presentation in the past to the city council, and I think to the Community Services Commission, that a park should be established where La Paz ends at Olympiad. That is a beautiful bluff that if you climb up on that bluff, you can look out over all of the O'Neill Park and look across at the Arroyo Trabuco golf course and see the mountains and see the beautiful O'Neill Park. And it would be very easy to turn that into a small park overlook up there with a trail leading up. The city council agreed in concept to consider that as one of their capital improvement projects, but it's near the bottom. I believe that as a planning commission, we should look at the possibility of changing the area south of Avery and add another car dealership that would enhance or generate more tax revenues for the city and assist in the economic development of our community. There is an old, rundown, dilapidated strip mall that goes south on that's across the street from the Jaguar dealership, and it is just an eyesore in my opinion and needs to be redeveloped. And it would be an ideal place for another major car dealership because that strip mall looks directly out onto the freeway. It has good freeway exposure and would add a significant amount of revenue to the city. I also believe that we should be looking as a planning commission towards recommending to the city council that in the future, when we go from purple to red to orange to yellow, and when we get back to normal in a year, that we ask that our sign programs be enforced once again. We have been very lax and actually have encouraged our shops, our restaurants to put out extra signs on the streets so that everybody will know that they're open for business. Come on in, and you can eat here, you can eat on our terrace. So we have all kinds of open signs, open for business signs. And I think that in the future, after we return to yellow and to complete normal business operation, that we should ask enforcement to remove those signs. And lastly, there is a student movement at Los Alisos Intermediate School at the corner of Los Alisos and Muirlands to make a street name change. And we as a planning commission have authority over making that kind of a recommendation to the city council. And just like in the past, the street that is now called Mustang Run was changed to that name to go along with their mascot. And Mission Viejo is changing there to Diablo Way or Diablo something. The kids and the staff at Los Alisos, whose mascot is the Lobos, want to change that to Lobo Way or Via Lobo or something like that. So I would like to bring that to the commission for consideration at a future meeting. That's all. Thank you,
Commissioner Breton.
Thank you.
Commissioner Molinari.
Thank you, Chairman Reach. First, before I get started, I want to recognize that today is International Women's Day, and just a special thanks to the leadership in this city, Mayor Kelly, Mayor Pro Tem Bucknam, and the strong leadership we have on staff, including Director Listener. So I just wanted to address that first. Secondly, Chairman Reich, thank you for challenging this commission to think forward, to come up with ideas, to work with our neighbors and see what we could do to come up with some ideas. I had the opportunity to speak with a number of neighbors, friends, acquaintances, and a lot of these ideas that have come together in this quick report kind of addresses what is wanted, like Commissioner Breton said, when we get back to normalcy. A couple things addressed were retail, restaurants and bars, entertainment, and health and fitness. As far as retail, with a lot of other communities putting together public marketplaces, we have something in place now with Union Market, but there's been a shift towards more craft establishments And I've gotten feedback that, you know, people were interested in cheese shops, butcher shops, boutiques, a mixed use of restaurants and shops like this where public could meet and entertain that way. As far as bars and restaurants, places like a local craft brewery, we've seen neighboring communities become very successful with some of their introduction of their local craft breweries. That's something to possibly consider. People spoke to me about vegan and vegetarian options, as well as higher end, you know, steak and seafood, maybe by the lake. These are some suggestions that I've heard. There's definitely a craving for more options for restaurants and bars. In regards to entertainment, I've gotten a lot of interesting feedback with regards to adding live music. Small venue similar to a coach house. Maybe a roller rink, to bring back a roller rink to give some of our kids, as well as some adults, some fun back to something like that. As well as a place to be creative. Like I said, the maker movement is very strong, crafting is very strong. Maybe a maker studio where people can engage in the creative experience through workshops, parties, and different events. In regards to health and fitness, with people becoming more cognizant of ways in preventative medicine, I've heard some feedback in regards to holistic healthcare, looking at acupuncture, cupping therapy, nutrition, things like that. If there's an opportunity to engage with businesses like that to come into our city. And lastly, specialized gyms. As you know, the city of Mission Viejo has a strong tradition in sport with the Matadors at our pool, Mission football, Capo baseball, I can go on and on. But if you had a specialized training facility that would work on, you know, speed, power, and strength, allowing personal training and community training to help out our athletes within the city continue to excel, that could be an option. Lastly, a lot of feedback regarding the lake, Plaza del Lago, and even if there's an option to have more of an entertainment facility at the lake. I know we have the cafe there and we put on great, you know, concerts when things are vibrant again. But people have suggested, is there a possibility to, you know, have a small restaurant by the lake to enjoy, you know, the fine facilities that we have there. Once again, Chairman Reich, thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm glad it gave me an opportunity to speak with people in our city to come up with ideas and to share that with this commission and staff. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Molinari. Commissioner Keenan.
Thank you, Chairman Reich. When you set us on this mission to reach out to our neighbors and our fellow residents, I was very excited about this because I think it's very important. As the most accessible level of government that people face, it's important for us to remain as accessible as possible to our fellow citizens and our neighbors. Coincidentally, earlier this evening, we were talking about people being on their phones all the time, the use of social media. So what better way, I thought, to hear the voice of Mission Viejo than to reach out to social media and get their feedback through there. And despite the number of comments I got, and there were many, I don't regret reaching out that way because I think it was a good cross-section of our community and a good diversity of opinions that I received from our residents. I checked a few seconds ago, so I went on an app called Nextdoor, where you can reach out to your neighbors and post things. It's sort of like Facebook, but it's very neighbor-oriented, community-oriented. So that's where I posted a call for suggestions on what people would like to see in their city. in Mission Viejo. I checked a few seconds ago. I am up to 172 comments from that request. About 95 residents have responded, and I've gotten about 17 residents who've reacted to that request. They varied as far as subject matter. Some of it was outside of our jurisdiction. Other requests were very particular, and others were very, very general. So just running down what I try to condense as what I saw from these comments. So there were some requests to have various busy intersections reviewed, as far as having additional lanes added, signal lights modified or added. There was some requests to have vegetation and trees trimmed or properly maintained to maintain safety in specific areas of our city. There was a request for more visible running trails and bike trails. There was also some comments about having farmers markets or seasonal community events throughout the city. Some other comments concerned having better lighting in certain shopping areas that seem to not have the best lighting, especially in the evening. The second most amount of comments I got concerned internet coverage and cell coverage. Residents were looking for more expanded or better cell coverage and internet coverage. They felt that they lived in parts of town that were dead zones, essentially. The prevalent comment I got concerned, and this overlapped a lot with the previous commissioner's comments, centralized shopping centers or more revitalized shopping centers, shopping centers that should be looked at and remodeled, but in particular having a centralized area where people can shop and hang out and have live music, especially for young people to go where there's restaurants and entertainment and live music. A place that is recognizably the heart of Mission Viejo. While there are several great shopping areas throughout the city, I sense that a lot of people were looking for something that was very recognizably the heart of the city, where the life flow of the city takes place. It was suggested that La Paz and Marguerite should be looked at to be revitalized because that's where City Hall is, that's where our library is. Trader Joe's, where the Trader Joe's is and where we used to have the Stein Mart, a lot of people have looked at that area and thought that's something that we should revitalize and look into. So moving forward with those suggestions and just a warning to city staff, I'm going to reach out to you with help on how to address some of these comments if we can, because like I said, a lot of them are a little more particular, like, having speed bumps here or stop signs there. But with respect to having a centralized shopping area and focusing in particular on La Paz and Marguerite, what I envision is having a sort of roundtable discussion or a gathering with the property owners and managers of these high impact shopping centers and see how they can work with us and how we can work with them to together address the possibilities for these areas. And it would certainly involve the city council and would be open to the public to just come up with a brainstorming session when things normalize and see how we can, if it is called for, something that is recognizably the heart of our city. So that is what I gathered, and I will probably have more comments from that social media post, and they grow by the hour, but I welcome it. So thank you, Chairman Reish.
Thank you very much. Vice Chair Breton.
No.
I'm sorry, Vice Chair Blum.
Well, that's a compliment to me. I appreciate that. Yeah, in conjunction with the other commissioner comments, as you're aware, the council has employed hired consultants to look at the core vision plan, which Commissioner Quino has mentioned. So my two suggestions right now, we need to keep up with the visions that you guys are talking about. So down at the south end of the of the La Paz Marguerite Center. There's 13 landowners there, Commissioner Aquino, and that's ongoing. But down there is where the city parks all their work vehicles, and that's going to need to get moved. So one of my suggestions is to keep up with all the visions that you guys are mentioning. I'd propose a public-private venture down at the Freeway Center. There we have Edison lines that run behind those retail boxes, and I'd like to suggest to the commission we assign someone to meet with Edison to obtain an easement or an access easement from Edison to improve that land underneath the transmission lines, and we can park all our trucks down there, and also negotiate with the box owners down there to obtain an easement and have a fenced off area, and that would really help the city complete the thought on the core vision plan. We do need to keep up with development as we're asking for restaurants and other items that are coming here, and I agree with everyone's suggestions. So I think that's an important step. It takes a while to get to Edison and to meet with them, but I'd suggest that we start that process, and our staff knows how fun it is to deal with Edison. Once we get that going, I think it'd be real easy to get that done. Second item, there's a parcel called Parcel C in Mission Viejo. We have some land around the city that can be developed, but however, it's a negative land residual to perform that. So I work with other cities and agencies around Southern California to come up with a process to where we can import dirt to create the pad, a stockpile plan, so to speak, and that would create a lot of value for our property. This property is down near Home Depot off of Crown Valley, and that would also allow us to build affordable housing units that we're required to procure here in the city. And I think that can be done. That could be another public-private venture that's a benefit to the city. It won't cost the city minimal dollars to create that pad. So I think those two items would complement all the ideas you all had. And it just need to get that going as soon as possible, because we need to do environmental analysis and site plans to get those going. So those are, I just had two, but they're big efforts, but they can be done. So that's my input, Chairman Reish.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair Blum. I just really wanted to thank you, commissioners, for following through with my request for ideas. Now, this evening, we certainly heard a lot of ideas that have great merit. And I'd like to ask that an agenda item be put on April's meeting so that we can discuss and choose the projects we think we want staff to investigate, and we can report on feasibility. You know, even in the best of times, the total of these ideas would overwhelm staff and prove to be impossible. So I'm asking you, commissioners, along with submitting to staff this list that you've come up with, think about that one, or if warranted, two items that you feel are achievable and feasible, and keeping in mind the city does have a limited budget, and we know that. I ask you, think about these ideas. Think of the ideas that have been revealed even by other commissioners, and keep the city in forefront so that if that one idea that makes most sense to you was chosen by another commissioner, that's fine. Let's follow up with that proposal. From this discussion and investigation, we can have a document to give council with additional ideas they can act on as they wish. Director Lister mentioned earlier, and I just want to remind you, Thursday at 6 o'clock, the Oso Creek Golf Course Open Space and Vision Plan. If you can attend that, I think it would be very useful for you. It would give all of us just a better idea of what we're looking to do with that parcel. And you'll be able to get more community input as well. On Wednesday, the 31st, at 6 o'clock, we're going to have a joint planning and city council meeting, discuss the city's housing element. Definitely, if possible, you really want to attend that. I think there's an invitation that went out today. I feel very honored that council has asked us to be part of this. And I believe that as our commission, we can provide valuable insight, and we hope that we'll be asked to participate in other meetings. You know, this 2021 Planning Commission, I've already asked a lot out of you. This is a year unlike any we've had before. But now I think we can start to see, has been articulated earlier, the ability to start seeing light at the end of the tunnel and seeing business and personal growth. The challenges that this pandemic has given us, we can address. We can look now at the redevelopment we need and know that the work that we work on now, the items that we bring up and we discuss are going to influence this city and how it grows for the next 30 years. And you all are a part of that. Lastly, I was reminded recently that your attitude will always be a driver of your ability. And with that, I want to thank you for your time and dedication. It is 9:20, and we will adjourn this meeting until March the 31st at 6 o'clock. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.
Hi, everyone.
Good
Thank
night, all.
you.
Good night.
Bye.